Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another amazing panel. We only have two left. So this one is the power of entrepreneurship, success stories across industries. Um, Kent, I would love for you to start off with your just bio and experience because I think you're in a very interesting um, space. You work with, you speak with a lot of founders, you work with a lot of different companies, you understand their challenges. So maybe if you could kind of just introduce yourself, and then we'll go to Bo and Shaun afterwards, who are both, it seems like, very much in the CEO role of their companies. So yeah.
Thanks for the intro, Manny. Just a quick intro to myself. Currently here in Austin, Texas, but was raised in Dallas. Went to college in Lubbock, Texas, and Texas Tech, and now I like to coin myself the Patrick Mahomes of recruitment after going to Tech. Now I'm in Austin, from Austin, actually, or I guess from Texas Tech. Ended up joining I guess normal W-2 recruitment job at a company called 20 AI, basically a full service, headhunter recruitment firm, quite standard. I basically did both sides of the desk, I guess from what you would call it, where I would develop new business, talk to clients, figure out their issues, figure out what they're kind of looking for, and then I'd also turn around and do the candidate side. Where I'd find the candidates, talk to them, help them through the interview process, and basically put those two together. It was a little bit of a smaller firm, so usually at the bigger firms, those jobs are separated, but I got to actually experience both sides, which was actually very helpful for my career. As usually you start off on the candidate side, you don't get much on the business side, but I was basically able to get both. After about 2 years, I was able to really grind and claw my way up the leaderboards. After I joined in August 2019, by December 2021, I was actually the number one producer in the entire company for revenue. There's about 70 of us, but I was number one doing it, I think my first year, or I guess in 2021, doing about a million 50,000 in revenue, which was about 70 placements across a whole variety of industries and verticals, mostly with startups, founders. A lot of them were with, I guess, kind of in the Austin area, a lot of them in the Bay Area, a lot of them in Miami, but really all across the US. In 2022, basically continued through the hot market, did a little bit better, did about 1.1 million in revenue, was the number one ranked recruiter globally at my firm again. And in 2023 of March this year, actually, I decided to basically go the kind of entrepreneurship route, or what we call here at Tima, my new firm, is entrepreneurship. Basically, at 20AI, it was more so very standard W-2, base salary, commission, benefits. You have a manager, KPIs and metrics, and all that good stuff. At this new firm called Tima, basically more or less effectively running my entire own business. No manager. I'm a 1099 S corp, so it's all commission only. Running my own business, full autonomy to create my own terms and basically work with the business as I see fit. And Tima, why it's an entrepreneurship, is basically Tima, the I guess platform, basically handles all the back office stuff. The website, the payroll. We have a legal team, the marketing, the website, all that good stuff that frankly I'm not quite good at yet. I'm good at recruitment, but I know my weaknesses, and admin and websites and marketing is definitely one of those. But I can do the recruitment side. So I've been here since March of 2023, so about call it what 8 9 months now. Actually, as of this week, just cracked the top five. Timo has about 250 recruiters, just cracked the top five in revenue for the year. So got off to a nice hot start here as well. Chasing that number one spot, but maybe we'll get it next year. But very good start, and absolutely loving the entrepreneurship journey, and looking forward to continuing it on for hopefully till I retire. It's been absolutely great. But that's kind of, I guess, me in a nutshell. Happy to answer any questions too.
Uh, Bo, is it cool if I'll take it over next? Is that fine?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Cool. Appreciate you, Manny, for having me on, and thank you for everyone for joining. I'm Shaun Crawford, and so from Cleveland, Ohio, originally, and then currently traveling all over right now just to push the business. But grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. Was an athlete. Was fortunate enough to earn a scholarship to the University of Notre Dame, where I played football. I was there, earned captaincy my final season there, and then went on to play in the NFL with the Las Vegas Raiders for a little bit. And during my athletic journey, suffered quite a few injuries. I had two ACL injuries during college, also an Achilles injury. And then with the Raiders, I had a sciatic nerve injury as well. And so just throughout my career, throughout my athletic journey, dealt with a lot of adversity, dealt with a lot of pain, just, personal pain, but being able to grow through it mentally, spiritually, and then also physically. And so when I got done playing, I decided I wanted to create a platform, create a network for athletes or public figures that have gone through similar adversity or gone through similar trials that have recently got or that have gotten through them, but also still developed, just a passion and for getting through those different things. And so my journey with Varsity House Productions, which is a direct-to-fan multimedia channel, specializing in sports content, giving the public a newfound perspective through just unparalleled access, whether it's through my network or whether it's through my resources of athletes, coaches, or organizations or communities across the country. I feel that traditional media lacks the space, for an athlete to tell their story authentically. And so what we developed here is an ecosystem across the country, across college campuses, across different organizations that connect the athlete, but connect the fan as well. And so what we try to do is create different content for each community, specific to each community as well. And so being a former athlete at Notre Dame, a former captain at Notre Dame, we work pretty heavily with those athletes there, providing them a space, providing them a platform to share their stories, to create content, to learn about social media marketing, to learn about branding and those different elements. And so as we begin to grow, we plan to just continue to work more with different student athletes across campus, really honing in on NIL and really, taking advantage of NIL and introducing these athletes to a different platform, a different resource to grow their NIL, not necessarily just doing the branding and the advertisement, but allowing them to really own their own voice, own their own story. And so we all obviously have our own stories. And so being able to connect those athletes and connect those fans, we do it through content, we do it through technology. And so just building out those bases, building out that platform is currently where we are right now, and just continuing to grow our athlete and continuing to grow our community around that. So essentially that's what Varsity House is, and I appreciate you guys again for having us on.
Awesome. I got to say, before I introduce myself, I'm very excited about the panelists. I heard Dallas, which that's where I am right now. I've heard Las Vegas. I was raised partially in Las Vegas, and one of my cousins actually was in the NFL, and tragically his career was cut short due to, I believe, an ACL. So that really resonates with me, and I think that's an awesome mission that you're on. So hello, everyone. My name is Sijuade. I'm founder and CEO of a company called On Touch Go. Essentially, what we do is we are an ad platform, an online self-service ad platform that allows advertisers, businesses, brands to reach consumers in rideshare. So as people are entering Uber, Lyfts, taxis, and they sit in the back seat, they see a screen, and advertisers can use our platform to serve digital ads to those people based on their live location, right? So we work with a lot of restaurants, bars, hotels, travel and tourism, consumer brands, and we are in 52 cities in the United States. We have over 60,000 connected screens. And so, very excited to be here on this sales and marketing conference, and look forward to telling everyone a little bit more about what we do.
Yeah, well, Bo, why don't you just jump right into it? Tell us about some activations. So Bo and I got connected on LinkedIn, posted something that I resonated with. And I'll be honest, I don't even really remember specifically what it was, but I just loved how real and honest you were, because a lot of people, are captive on LinkedIn. So maybe you could just kind of share a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, so I think the post you were referencing was a post about how businesses should seriously consider firing their marketers, right? One of our pain points as we're going to market. So for context, we launched the company in March 2019. We were in a pilot stage for 2 years. We had to go through COVID, which was very tough, and we had raised around $200,000 in a friends and family round in February of 2020. So, which was just the worst timing or the best timing, depends on how you view it, right? So I remember as we're moving into our first office the next day, it's like headline, economy shut down, right? So we had to really hustle and survive. And it was around 2021 that we started to pivot our business model. Traditionally, we used to buy screens. We used to book Uber rides and pitch the drivers ourselves. So we would own and operate what is what they call it. And now we have shifted as of 2021 to where we engineered a purely SaaS model, right? So what does that mean? We partner with media publishers that already have screen infrastructure in cars, and they connect those tablets to our ad server. And it's trading bidding request and ad space request in real time, right? So the post that you were referencing comes from the pain point of introducing a new format of marketing into the space and dealing with the friction, right? With people not being open-minded to try something, right? You think you would spend 4 or 5 years building something cool, exciting, captive, that brands would be largely receptive, but there is a significant portion of marketing professionals that I've seen that they're just not open-minded, right, to trying something new. So yeah, so that's one of the things that we deal with as we go to market.
A quick question for you, if you don't mind. Sorry, Manny. Did you have something?
No, go ahead, Ken.
I guess it's just in terms of marketing, I guess how you're marketing to, is it mostly, are you marketing to companies that you're going to be, I guess, showing the ads to, or I guess is there also some sort of component with, I guess, partnering with the rideshare platforms like Uber, Lyft, and what have you? Is there kind of like you're almost brokering that connection, or I guess curious how you're kind of strategizing, I guess, your own internal business development and marketing efforts?
Yeah, so as far as screens, right now we process about 8 million impressions a day. So from a bandwidth perspective, we're not really focused on more partnerships with adding more cars per se, because we have, in dollars and cents, that's about $30 million of ad inventory a year that we have to fulfill as we go to market. So most of our efforts in terms of marketing has been focused on getting businesses to advertise, right? B2B. And we've done that in a unique, array of ways, right? So right now we're doing publication sponsored ads. We're doing collaborations with e-commerce platforms so we can speak to the consumer brand industry very well. We're doing online ads. We run LinkedIn ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, etc. We do email marketing. We do marketing on our own network. So we do our array of things.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I'll say, especially as of recently, and as the kind of, I guess, market heats up, if you will, I feel like email marketing has been quite nice. I always like to say there's kind of two ways of doing marketing and business development. It's like the very hyper focused way of quite literally researching and cold calling the person who is absolutely the right person and could you could provide value for. But obviously, you're heavily limited on volume, right? Because it's the research and there's quite a lot of legwork that goes into it. And there's also the big net way where you kind of just cast it out, see what comes back. And tell you what, a lot of people argue, which one's better. I always like to say do both, because I've gotten massive wins from both. Just kind of the big net, see what comes out there. You kind of make your own luck. If the volume's high enough, you're gonna hit the right person at the right time. And then also, of course, supplementing that with the quite literally dialed, cold calling, knowing who it is. But obviously, doing both is that frankly been by far the best for me. It's always funny when I see the arguments on LinkedIn on which one's better. I'm like, guys, just do both. What are we doing here?
Multiple touch points, and and you're speaking to some of the things that we're doing right now. We're continuously tweaking our messaging, and what I found is for our offering, what's best as far as a communication strategy through email and phone call is to be as conversational as possible. I call it feature dumping, and I'm sure you get emails like this all the time where, it's just like, here's what we do, you want to buy it, and it's like a long 5-paragraph email. Those don't perform well. And what we do is that we try to make it very short, contextual, and more conversational, right? And so, and I've seen that works better.
I definitely agree. The long, and I'm not sure if you use what program you use, but we use Apollo here. It's actually quite nice as far as like you can actually see the performance of it, and you kind of do A/B testing and whatnot. And I've definitely noticed the same thing where, the longer the message, and you got to think about yourself too. Whenever I receive a long email from someone I don't know, I'm not reading that. But if it's nice and short and nice hook on there and very, very short, you read it, and the data speaks for itself. Absolutely, as far as the very short to the point, and then also, the calculated follow-ups as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Can I have a question for you? Just, coming from a structure, and, I guess just being an employee to where now you're in a role where it's commission based and kind of on an entrepreneur route. I always ask this question just because I kind of came from the same thing as, being a part of a team under an organization, having a schedule, guaranteed pay, all those things, and then now starting something else and, getting paid based off, what you do. What are some pros and cons that you've seen from it, and then how have you adapted and how have you been able to, propel yourself with some of those cons?
Yeah, great question. I'll always say, because actually, I wouldn't say interview, but I actually talk to a lot of the new people, I guess people joining the team and platform. And something that I tell them, where they ask me this question, quite frankly, too, there's like, how do you do it? And I always like to say kind of the entrepreneurship route it's heaven for some and it's hell for others. I always like to say you definitely just gotta be the right person. If you're the type of person that, you need someone to keep you accountable. And frankly, that happens with, probably the vast majority of people. If no one's telling them what to do, they're not gonna, go the extra mile. They're only gonna do kind of bare minimum. And frankly, that's kind of why they need a manager and why they need to stay in the W-2, I guess, kind of rat race, if you will. However, if you're kind of, I guess, wired in a way where you are quite ambitious, you don't need any help being motivated. You are, you do what you need to do without anyone telling or without anyone looking over your shoulder. Frankly, that's the biggest green flag for me in terms of, hey, it's time to maybe, instead of building someone else's business, start building your own. And that's kind of what I realized after, being with the W-2 for about 4 years. I was kind of, looking at the ROIs and just kind of the value props. I'm like, I'm really not getting much from this. Like, yeah, you get a base pay, it's stable and whatnot. But, I've kind of at the point where I've learned a lot from my managers and everyone that mentored me. There's not too much more I could learn, I don't think. And then I definitely don't need them for the motivation aspect. So it's kind of time where I was very, very ready and excited, and I had no doubt in my mind that I would make it work. But, what I tell the people or I guess who are about to join team, I'm like, if that's not you, if you feel like you need, someone looking over your shoulder to track the KPIs for you to actually do the work, it could, be a terrible decision or the best decision ever. So that's kind of how I feel. I feel like, not everyone's meant to be an entrepreneur. But the people that are, it's the best decision you could possibly make. As far as just quality of life, I'm so much happier just kind of doing whatever I want to, building your own schedule, having full autonomy. But again, for just a different type of person, it could be the worst thing ever. And sometimes, I guess it goes both ways. So that's kind of how I feel as far as, I guess, how I've been dealing with it. And I think I've made the right choice so far. It's going quite well.
I wanted to jump in with a question for you, Shaun. How has your podcast kind of helped, create opportunities for you? And maybe you could shed a little bit about your podcast and some of the guests that you've had for
Yeah.
those.
So yeah, definitely. And so originally, just Varsity House started off as just a podcast. I kind of went into it with, nowadays, I guess everyone has a podcast, everyone's doing a podcast, but I kind of went into it as an outlet for me, being that I always find it tough for former athletes to find that next thing, where we talk about having to go into a work field. Sometimes, if you're trying to prepare to be, the next LeBron James or the next Tom Brady or anything like that, you're going to spend a lot of time, whether it's in the weight room, studying film, all these different things where, you may not have much job, experience or having much time to do internships and things like that, depending on, how passionate you are, how far you want to go. And so I kind of found myself, in that same field. And during my career, while I was at Notre Dame, I suffered 3 season-ending injuries, and so that required 3 long rehab processes. And so for me, my goal was always to go to the NFL. And when I had, time in the summer to do these internships and to do, and to go to job experiences and things like that, I spent that time rehabbing. I spent that time trying to get back on the field. And so by the time I got towards the end of my career, I had very little, job experience. The network of Notre Dame was great, but I kind of just started to rely on and lean on once I got done playing officially was what maybe I was remembered for at Notre Dame and maybe how I was respected at Notre Dame. And so some of those things was being a tough player, being accountable, being a leader, and being named captain, but also was the injuries and adversity that I faced that I was able to overcome. And so because of that, I created a platform and created the podcast to shine light to others in that same situation, but also allow me to go back and reconnect with my network that I've been able to build up from 7 years old of playing football all the way till now. And so it was one of those things for me to where I was able to just stay in the field that I was passionate about, stay connected to people that I was passionate about, and being able to interview guys like, Manti Te'o or Brady Quinn, even the mayor of Cleveland, Ohio, my hometown. But just being able to interview these people and sit them down and understand their journey and understand that, some may have injuries, some may have family struggles or anything like that, to where we all, go through things. Like I said before, we all have our own story, and being able to create a platform and have those deep conversations with someone who's like-minded, someone who's understanding, has been great. And then those conversations have led to, obviously a bigger network, and then now creating community events around it, to where it's not just, I personally don't believe it's enough to have a conversation and to post it on social or to post it on different platforms for the fans and the community and the audience to see it. I think it's even better to go a step further and try to create an event, a physical event, to get people out to it, to see these people, to see these public figures, to ask them questions, engage with them in those things like that. And so that's kind of how it has grown. So it's grown from just, having the podcast, being able to meet great people, Ryan Clark, Nick Chubb. I hope people here know, I know sports, know athletes, but but just to have those conversations with some of the elites, all pros, to players that are at the top of their game, people that are on ESPN, Fox, all these different, big networks, to understand where they come from and to see where they are now. And so now developing physical community events, and then going further into that to develop a better relationship with the community and with the public figures.
That podcast with Manti Te'o's got to be interesting. I need to check that out. He's got a story, tell you what.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's a question from JM. All I see is JM. I'll read the question. Do you incorporate Chat GPT into your podcast? If so, how successful has it been? So I do not incorporate Chat GPT. I use something called Taja AI, TAJA.ai, and for the purposes of post-production. So I like to do my own research. And because I feel like when I get into the podcast, I like to understand as much as I can about the guests to a point to where it's not so much that I'm just like reading off a list of questions that, that might be highly Google searched or that ChatGPT puts out to me. I kind of read it and understand it to where, because I want the conversation to flow naturally. So I'll have topics in my mind, and then I'll have an understanding of the guest. So if the conversation goes one way, we can stay on that path instead of trying to just get my questions off. I feel like that it goes a little bit better as far as a podcast. And then Taja AI has been successful, and obviously another AI just platform, because it helps me on the post production. Meaning it'll so once we upload it to YouTube, we'll post it unlisted, and then it'll give me best titles for YouTube, as far as SEO, and then it'll also give me a description. It'll give me thumbnails, all those different things. And so for anyone who's a creator, if anyone who's posting content, some of that stuff like takes hours to think about. Thinking about a title on YouTube, like sure, we all been on YouTube. When you get on YouTube and you look at a title, like that's probably, 50, 60% of the reason why you might click on it. The thumbnail might be like the other 30%. And so having a platform and having a technology piece like that's able to, assist me, something that might take 2 hours, it gives it to me in a minute max, or even, 45 seconds. It's something that I've used and I found, to be very helpful.
Interesting. Curious if I could use that. Is it purely just for creators and titles or whatnot? I wonder if I could do it for like email subject lines.
I'm not sure. Manny put he put
I'll check it out.
Definitely check it out after. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also trying to master the art of the email subject line. So
Yeah.
So we're wrapping things up. We got 2 minutes left. How about what are you all looking forward to in 2024? And let's keep it away from politics.
2024. I think it's gonna be a better year than this year. This year, I feel like was almost like the year of the recession and high interest rates and people almost just the economy cooling down from what it was the past 2 years. I think next year, and I feel like recruiters, I almost have a pretty good gauge on the economy because I go from clients like, hey, we can't afford your fees to, hey, now we can, and I guess hiring is usually a pretty close tie to how the year's going to be. And I've had tons of, hey, let's talk first week of January from clients that have come out of the woodwork. So I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, I don't think it'll be the craziness of maybe 2021, 2022, but I think it'll be a heck of a lot better than 2023, especially with the interest rates coming down and just people, frankly, not hiring much this year. They got to catch up a lot next year. So I think it's going to be overall. I think it's a light at the end of the tunnel, frankly. So I'm definitely excited.
I'll go. So for me personally, in 2024, it's all about enjoying the fruits of my labor. As everyone knows here, everyone's an overnight success, but you've probably been doing what you're doing for multiple years, right? Or building your skills for multiple years. So for us, piloting the idea, raising capital, engineering, spending 2.5 years engineering what we have today in the market. And I'm looking forward that, next year we'll have the most amount of customers we've ever had, seeing all this coming into fruition. We're working on a very large strategic partnership right now that's cross fingers closes today. And so if that comes into fruition, next year should be a really good year for us. And I'm just looking forward to just hopefully, enjoying some fruits of the labor after 5 years.
Yeah, I'll keep it quick because I think it's the time. But for 2024, I'm just looking forward to, connecting with the network that I've been able to build since my football career has ended. I just feel like I've been able to, with Varsity House and with even doing things like this, I've been able to grow a different network. Not saying that is, necessarily better, but it's a different network into the field that I'm in now. And so I'm just looking forward to really, connecting and building something off those relationships and, creating just more content and leading great people, I guess.